Let's talk about psychology. It is easy to fall victim to the belief that you will always have your thoughts and mind under control. Many traders neglect the fact that this is very unreasonable to ask of themselves, simply because we as human beings will always have ups and downs within our lives. To be able to effectively use a mental stop loss while you're trading, you need to always be in a good place. And that's not very realistic, is it? When you aren't in a good place mentally, it just takes one mishap, one wrong move, one time it slips your mind to close the trade, and then your account goes under. Pay very close attention to what is discussed in the coming minutes, and you'd see why you shouldn't use a mental stop loss. Welcome to the Relatable Trader, episode 4. Hey guys, what's up? Brandon here. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I really hope that you take the time to sit down and look at the entire video. A lot of the points discussed in this video are very detailed and in-depth, and they're potent, right? If it is you do wish to work with me on a basis like this in a one-on-one setting, don't be afraid to reach out to me at EkataTrading on Telegram, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and even my email. I hope you enjoy. See you soon.
I hold on to trades too long. So as far as stop, I don't follow my rules, I would say. And I hold on trades way too long, just thinking they're going to turn around. And I know how I got like this in the very beginning before I even learned how to trade.
Yeah.
I was just clicking, and then I saw prices go up and down, and eventually turn around and go back to take profit. And that was just clicking buttons. But that is my problem. I hold on to losers.
So you hold on to losers for too long, but what about winners? How long would you hold on to a winner? How is it that you use a take profit, or?
I use take profits, basically to the next swing. And I actually, the strategy that I became very good at as of recent within the last few months was just simple, just identifying the trend, the overall trend, looking for the counter trend and drawing another trend line, and then wait for the break for it to continue into the overall trend. And I was doing very good with that, but I guess another problem I have is, okay, not only just holding on to a loser, but my plan it actually has fallen. It was doing very good until recently when life happened. I was in the hospital with my grandmother for a while, and so that actually affected my trading. So that's when things went south. But I was doing well, and then that actually affected my trading. So.
Interesting. Is she okay now?
No, she passed away.
Oh wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. And let me ask you a question here now. How do you feel now in terms of other than the trading aspect? How do you feel now in terms of you?
Better. I'm getting better. Am I back to where I was? No, but I'm getting better. I can tell.
The reason why, I mean, it's so interesting because I'll tell you that trading is a reflection of yourself and what happens in your life, and what happens up here in your mind bleeds through the neck, down the shoulders, down the arms, through the elbows, all the way to the tips of your fingers and onto the chart. And what's really, really important is I say this all the time to any students that I have, when you are not in a right state of mind, it is very, very hard to execute proper trades, because like I said, trading is an extension of you. It's a reflection of you. And that's why I ask, how are you? Because you're saying that you're better, but you're not where you were. So before you were saying that you were getting good at a strategy, but now, when this unfortunate event happened in your life and you've lost an instrumental person in your life, what actually ended up happening is it put you into a state of turmoil, and that affected your trading, correct?
That's correct. Which proves my point. Yes. Yeah, I'm telling you, like one trade, like I would win. One trade and knock it all out just because I'm
Mm,
hanging on to it. Yeah.
right. So, I mean, it's really sad that your grandmother had to pass away and stuff. Uh, but let's do something for your grandmother here today. In that you're gonna try to help, you're gonna try to make her proud in the sense of we're gonna try to make a change today, right? And that change is that your issue is not so much the trading that you're doing. Your trading is not the problem because you're saying you could win and win and win and win and win, which means, and it's proving to me and it's proving to yourself that you can take good trades, correct?
Correct.
So the problem is not finding the winners, it is when you get the losers. You would have mentioned you hold on to it for too long, which tells me your risk management needs assistance. So before you even continue, right? Before you even continue, I can bet money that there's one of two things happening. You're either using a ridiculously wide stop loss or you're not using a stop loss at all, right? Because the only way that you can have a trade lose for so long is if one of these two things are happening. If you have a stop loss so wide that it doesn't even make sense, or you're not using a stop loss at all. And if I am reading the play well enough, I think that you don't have a stop loss at all. Is that correct?
That's correct. And what was happening, I kind of like just going with the momentum, getting my pips and getting out, and so I have a mental stop loss. But then if something happens, I have to look away for a few minutes and come. I may have missed it, and I'm like, dang, and hoping it go back in the right direction.
So what it says is that mental stop loss, and I'm putting mental in air quotations, is absolute garbage. Because the mental stop loss is only as good as your mental. And that is very...
And I have to look at it, right?
Right, and it's unreasonable to ask that of your mind, because that is assuming that you will always be in a right state of mind. And as is clear, obviously, your grandmother passed away, unfortunately, right? So because you are an imperfect being, and I mean, I really don't want to be talking about the topic so much, right? That you're, about this topic, so you try to change it, but,
right.
You're asking something that is almost impossible to ask of a human being, not just you, anybody. A mental stop loss, in my opinion, is a dangerous thing to have because, again, it is assuming the fact that you're always going to be in the right state of mind. It's assuming that you're always going to be able to pay attention to what's going on in the market. And that is not true. You agree with that or you disagree?
Oh, I very much agree.
So
something always happens. I have to look away and then...
Exactly. And then you, before you realize, you're saying that you have a mental stop, so maybe it might be 30 pips, which is ridiculous, by the way, 30 pips or 50 pips or whatever. And then before you know it, the trade is 900 pips against you. You understand? And then anything that you would have, and you said it, any profit that you would have gotten from the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 wins or so, guess what? You've just given it all back. Every last bit of it. And you know something? You could prevent that. You can prevent that. Now, how can you prevent this? It's actually very, very simple. All you need to do, literally, all you need to do is implement a stop loss. Now, a lot of people ask, well, B, what stop loss should I implement? Should I use your stop loss, as in your tight stop loss, or should I have it such that it's a really wide stop loss, or what? Now, here's what I want you to do for me, right? And you're going to do this as a homework of sorts per se, right? Where when you leave here, you're going to do this. I want you to look at your last few trades, right? Look at your last few trades and look and see what is the average of how much money each trade would have lost, or how much pips, I should say, each trade would have lost, right? And divide that by 2 and set that as a stop loss to begin with. Because here's why I'm telling you that. What you're going to do is, if I tell you to use a certain stop loss, it's going to be almost impossible to integrate. You'll use it, you'll lose every single trade, because your system now, basically what it's doing, how it's functioning and it's winning because of the fact that you don't have a stop loss. But if it is you look at your average amount of pips lost per each trade. Divide that number by 2. So let's just say your average pips lost per trade is 100 pips. You divide that number by 2 and you get 50 instead of 100. Use a 50 pip stop loss and see what results you get. And then when you realize that a 50 pip stop loss is too wide in the sense of when you take trades, they are almost all winning, you can make the stop loss tighter and adjust it accordingly. One of the biggest mistakes I have realized as a trader is that, you see, when you try to do something, you try to make a sudden change. Human beings don't like that. We don't like that. That's change. Obviously, no human being likes change, and sudden change is even worse. So what you have to do is basically coax yourself into it, then gradually build up to it. But in order to stop that losing everything when you're winning over and over and over and over and over, you have to implement a stop loss here. You have to.
Okay. I know. I just have to do it. So.
What are your thoughts? Let me hear you. Let me hear what you're thinking.
Well, even when I was winning, my drawdown wasn't much.
Right.
Not much at all. But what I'm thinking is, I guess I got something else going on. I have a fear of being wrong. I don't like being wrong, but then I guess when I'm wrong, I'm really just, I'm just really not wrong.
Right. And so that's an interesting thing to talk about here, the fear of being wrong, because your fear is not being wrong, it is how wrong is what is scary to you. Right. How wrong you are is what is scary to you. You see, you're looking at some of these losses and some of them are so gigantic that you're like, oh crap, I was that wrong, boy. Wow. But you see, the thing is, if you have a stop loss placed on the trade, guess what? It wouldn't be that wrong. It will be a constant thing over and over and over and over and over. So this is what I'm telling you. You need to build up to basically apply this stop loss, whatever it is, and you have to know your data, your metrics, right? You build up to applying it, and then once you do that, that fear is going to slowly recede. Now it's not going to go away, right? At least not yet. It's not going to go away. But I will tell you, your aim should be to try to get it to go away, and I'll tell you why. Anybody who's been successful in anything, not just trading, in anything, has failed way more times than they've been successful. You agree or disagree?
Oh, I very much agree.
So you can't.
I like failure. Mm-hmm. No, well, I mean, I like failure because I know you learn way more from failure than
absolutely
you do just kind of being right. Sometimes.
Absolutely.
So you learn more. I like it, but I think what kind of has stopped me along the way from putting a stop loss is putting like a type stop loss and getting nicked at.
Right. So that's what I'm telling you. It proves the point what I said, where if it just make a sudden change and put a tight stop, you're gonna be stopped out so many times that it'll kind of feel like, oh crap, what am I doing? This is what I'm saying. Make a gradual change. You don't make a sudden change. It should be incremental, because obviously this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yes, you want the money now. Yes, you want the success now. But the whole idea, and this is very, very important, the whole idea is to make sure that you build into it. You understand? Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's unreasonable of you to ask of yourself to make a sudden change. So gradually move into it. You can't just decide to not use a stop loss, then just automatically move to using a 10 pip stop loss. You will lose every single time. I guarantee you that. You don't want that. The goal is not to lose every single time. The goal is to gradually build up into using, and then slowly but surely you'll get the sweet spot. You might end up maybe by 30 pips, which is ridiculously wide for somebody like myself. But I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not going to change that. You understand? Mm-hmm. So the main thing that I'm seeing with you, the biggest issue I'm seeing with you, is the fear is coming from that one thing. And you'll be so surprised. That one thing, right? That one thing, if you change just one thing, you will make your grandmother proud, I'm telling you.
Gotta do it. I guess it's the exercise of just getting a habit. See that? Yeah, create a habit. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
create the habit.
I'm telling you, you do that one thing. I am telling you, Kia, you would see a change, right? And you would see a change that is meaningful. Very important. People always want to change, but they don't. It's never a meaningful change or a change that actually makes a difference. It might be change. It might be a change for the worse. You want a change that is meaningful. You understand? That it makes sense and it is worth your while. It is worth your time and your effort and your attention and your energy. You understand?
Right.
So, takeaways from this, right? Biggest takeaways from this are the fact that we need to begin to apply a stop loss. I would say, like I said, go through your metrics. However long you've been trading for, go through your metrics and look at each and every single loss that you would have had, let's just say over the last 2 months. Right? This is where, and this is something I tell traders all the time. Looking at your metrics, as in looking at the data, your history, your trading history, is the act of trading. Being a trader is analyzing data. Aren't these losses data points?
Right. Yeah.
They're data points. So by analyzing the data, you're actively trading. Now, you're not actively making money at the time, but you're actively trading because you're trading these data points for information that you can use to make your strategy and system better. You understand? So what you do, you go and you look at the last month to 2 months of data. You break down each and every single trade. You look at, you write it down. This trade lose 80 pips. This trade lose 90 pips. This trade lose 100 pips. You look at and you know how to find the average of anything, correct? You know how to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So you look at you add up all of the variables, divide them by the total number, you get the average. Whatever the average is, let's just say the average is 80 pips per trade. You losing 80 pips on average, divide that number by 2, it's 40 pips now. That is your stop loss. And gradually build up to that. And the reason why I'm telling you to divide it by 2 is because we want to cut those losses that you have in half. We want to cut them in half. If your average loss is about 80 pips, you want to cut that in half to start to build you back up. You understand?
That is, you're smart. Right. Yes. Yes, I get it. Okay. And then from there, I would just continue to cut by half if it makes sense.
Yes, if it makes sense. Yes, very good. If it makes sense to then now come and say, you know what, from a 40 pip stop, you find like, okay, well, when you enter trade, you don't need 40 pips of buffering room, because here's the interesting thing, and I want to paint a picture for you. You're not putting a stop loss on the trade because you want it to be hit you. A lot of people think that when they put the stop loss on the trade, they set it, like 30 pips, and they're like, oh gosh, well, it's 30 pips. You're not setting the stop loss because you're anticipating for it to be hit, You're setting it there as a safety net, as a precaution if you are wrong. I always say this, a stop loss is a prenuptial agreement between the market and yourself. You're telling the market, listen, I am marrying you by virtue of I'm entering this trade. We are entering a union together and we are tethered together. Now, if something should go wrong, I'm letting you know that you and I are going to part ways at this interval, and this is all you're getting. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what you're getting. But the aim is not for that to happen. You don't sign a prenuptial agreement. I mean, I'm not saying that you should, but you don't sign a prenuptial agreement with the anticipation of a divorce.
Right.
So you don't set a stop loss on a trade with the anticipation of the stop loss being hit. The goal is still to get a better entry such that it makes sense. When you enter the trade, it works. You understand? So if when you start to do this more and more, and you realize that the trade is, as soon as you enter it, is going maybe 10 pips against you and then it's running away, just use a 20 pip stop. That's much more sufficient, because remember, the next thing, the stop loss is directly tethered to your percent risk. You see, that is something so interesting. When you have a mental stop, you have a mental percent risk, because if you, let's just say you have $10,000 in your account and you open a trade with one standard lot, when it goes 10 pips against you, how much money is that are you losing?
You say 10,000?
Yeah, 10,000.
A standard 100?
100, right? Which is how much money? That's how much percent, sorry? 1%. But when it goes 50 pips against you, that's how much percent against you? 5.
Too much. What, 5?
Right? And when it goes 200 pips against you, how much percent is that?
Kind of everything. So
that's 20% against you. And the interesting thing is, with a mental stop, you don't have direct control, because again, coming back to what we spoke about, that mental stop, what it's doing right, it is assuming that you will always be under complete control mentally, and you will not.
Right.
That is unreasonable to ask of a human being. You won't always be good. I can guarantee you that. And I can guarantee you that because I am not always good either. So I'm speaking from experience here. You understand?
Yes. Yes.
What are your thoughts? Let me hear you.
I just know I have to make myself do it. I don't know why it's so uncomfortable. I don't know why. But yeah, so make myself do it.
And I can answer that for you. It's uncomfortable because of the fact that it's a change. And human beings don't like change. We genuinely don't like change. Change is uncomfortable, but discomfort breeds growth, while comfort breeds stagnance. You don't want that. When you are comfortable with doing the same thing over and over and over, right? When you're comfortable with that, don't complain. But if it is you are uncomfortable, make a change. It's very, very simple. Right. Discomfort breeds growth. When you're uncomfortable, it should push you to do something different. When you're comfortable, you're cool, you're chilling, you understand? Everything all cool and good. That's why you don't like to do it, because discomfort, nobody likes comfort. I mean discomfort. Right. But discomfort is where growth happens. You understand?
Well, let me ask you, yes, I want to ask you this. How long did it take for you to realize, okay, 10 pips is that it? Because that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
How long it took me to realize 10 pips was my go-to?
Right.
So I did the same thing that I told you to do by virtue of looking at my previous losses. And when I realized that once I entered, a trade was going in profit 5-6 pips. As soon as it'll go in drawdown 5-6 pips, and then it'll go in my favor, right? When I realized that, I was like, okay, so I need this amount of breathing room. You understand? That's what I did. Okay. Right now, I always had in the back of my head from as early as I can remember in trading, and I've been trading for years, but as early as I can remember, I remember using a stop loss. I think I traded for a very short period of time without a stop loss, and I did not like that feeling. That feeling of being constantly tethered to the market and it's losing and there's nothing I could do about it besides close it and accept the loss. I don't like that feeling. I prefer to be in control. You see, here there are a lot of things in the market that we cannot control. But anything that you can control, you have to control.
Okay.
You understand?
That makes so much sense. Yes.
So
that's something I can control.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely something you can control. You can control where and when and why and how and what. Right? You can't control what the market's going to do, but you can control how you react to it. As Johnny Depp said, in the spirit of all what's going on right now, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the attitude to the problem. Very interesting concept.
Yes, it is. I can't believe you said that. Okay. Yeah.
Right, so I really hope that this helped in some way. And, is the reason why we do these episodes of the Relatable Trader as well is because obviously a lot of people might have similar issues. Maybe they have it worse than you. And this is to shine a light on it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not seek out the assistance and the help.
Right.
You understand?
I agree. Yes, agreed.
So, guys, I really hope that, you enjoyed this session. I hope that, you got something from this. If it is you like this, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace out, guys.